Hey folks, welcome back to Max Nafe Horsemanship in a series called Baby Steps. And I I just came up with that name in a hurry at the beginning, and the more I thought about it, the better I liked it. And I have not had a single regret about that name. I think it's a very, very suitable name because of the fact that, well, I explained before, we're working with a baby. And baby steps is basically a philosophy that I've always held with when it comes to handling horses is you just take your time and go slow. Baby steps. Get it? Okay. So that's the whole thing. I want to share a couple of stories today too, but I'm also going to show you some stuff. And you didn't miss anything. Well, not much anyhow, but after we turned the camera off yesterday, we worked on a problem. And you'll see I got the lunge whip in my hand. I'm going to show you how I used that to resolve that problem. And, well, I'm going to pick up where I left off too, but I'm also going to start by sharing you some stories. But don't go anywhere. Listen to my stories, because after the stories is when I get into the demonstration stuff where I show you what we've been doing, because I think it'd be helpful. Yeah, I'm quite sure, and that's why I'm taking the time to show you this stuff. It's the actual thing that we're working on is the leading, but we were having some problems with it, and that's where this comes in. And I'll show you in a few minutes. Just bear with me and let me tell you some stories, because they're good stories, I think. I think they are, anyhow. Not meant to be humorous or incredibly entertaining, but hopefully a little bit educational. And, well, I'll start off with the weather. Nice day. End of weather. Okay, I'll elaborate a little more. It's actually a couple degrees cooler than it was in the last video, but there's less wind, so it's actually not a bad day out. That's something that some of you may not, if you haven't experienced this kind of weather, even with below freezing temperatures and snow on the ground, the sun's warm enough that it's actually kind of nice out. Well, at least by our standards, anyhow. And like I said, not too windy, so it makes a big difference. And that'll be helpful for a lot of reasons. But I'm not going to elaborate on that one. But I do want to share you a couple stories. And one is a topic that I hesitate to ever talk about because it really ruffles some feathers. And, sensitive people might be offended by it. But it's about being practical. And by being practical, I'm talking about and I know these cases exist. There's a few of them out there that I've been aware of, where people would spend thousands of dollars to extend the life of a horse through medical treatment, whatever. And it's a horse that has no future, will never be rideable, doesn't have a job. All they're doing is giving it a longer life. And they think they're doing real good by doing that. And they go, oh man, I spent thousands of dollars and I gave this horse another 5 years. But my question is, what was the quality of life? And did the horse have a purpose? And I don't mean to sound harsh or heartless or anything like that, but sometimes in a case like that, you got to be practical, and the sensible thing to do might be have that horse put down. Now I know you don't want to hear that, because having the choice of making that choice, deciding to have a horse put down, that's a tough one. It is. It's a real tough one. And I'm never going to judge anybody on whether or not they did the right thing when they made the decision, because that's not a choice that you really want to have to make. But sometimes it's necessary. And, well, here's my logic behind it is, if you take a horse, and like I said, I know these cases exist. I know they're out there. But people will spend thousands of dollars to maintain a horse that basically has no quality of life and no future. Whereas you could take the money that you're spending on that horse and buy a horse that's healthy, one that has a future, one that's young enough. And, sometimes those horses that people spend money on, they're either really old or they're lame or have medical issues in one way or another, that it just, they don't have a future. But you can take that same money and spend on them and spend on a horse that does have a future and give it a future. And down the road, you might even save enough money to buy yourself a new saddle, because those aren't cheap either. And certainly if you have one less horse to pay to look after and feed and everything, that's money that you now have for the next horse that you can provide board, feed, whatever your expenses are on a day-to-day basis. So that's a topic that, like I said, I know lots of people aren't going to be happy about that one. They don't even want to think about it, don't want to talk about it. But, sometimes you just got to be practical. It's just, realistically, you got to look at what you got and is it worth the money. But on that note, though, sometimes what we see isn't necessarily what's right. Because a lot of people will judge a horse based on its conformation and all this stuff. And they will determine that way whether or not the horse is even worth having. And a lot of people turn down perfectly good horses that way. And I'm going to go back all the way to high school and share a story. I was on the track team at the time, and there was another fellow on the track team I got to know, real nice guy. And he was the most bow-legged guy you'd ever seen in your life. I mean, he walked funny. It was just, seriously, you probably have never seen anybody that bow-legged. But run. Well, I attended a high school that the enrollment would range anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 students, and he was the fastest. This bow-legged guy that could barely walk was the fastest runner in that school. And so don't judge by appearance. Can be misleading. Another example, and this is directly to do with horses, and it was an article I read. It was written by a vet student. Well, actually, he was a vet, but when he was a student, he was taking a class, and his prof showed the class a video, and it was a camera set up on a racetrack, videoing racehorses, and it was set down low on the inside rail. Basically, all you could see was the feet and the legs. That was all you could see. You couldn't see the horse. You couldn't tell which horse it was. And it videoed these horses all running past. And when the one went by, he pointed out one in particular, and he says, okay, asking his students, what do you think about this horse? And unanimously, I think everybody in the class said, well, that horse has got no future. Look at that thing paddle. Now, for those of you that don't know what paddling is, it's when the front legs, instead of moving forward and backwards, when they go back, they tend to go to the side. And a lot of people think that's a real bad thing. Well, they all said the same thing, that that horse didn't have a future. It paddled way too much. It would never be any good for anything. And at which point the prof had a little bit of a chuckle, and he says, well, that was such and such. Now, I say such and such because I don't recall the name of the horse. But it turned out that that particular horse that they had a video of, that they just watched and said had no future, was a race-winning horse, a fairly famous one that had won lots of races. It had an excellent future in racing. And fortunately, kudos to the owners, whoever they were, they had the foresight to let that horse prove itself. So don't think that just because a horse doesn't look right, there's something not right, or doesn't move right or something, that there's something wrong with it. It may turn out to be the best darn horse you've ever seen. Well, another example of that is one I had, one of my own horses. She had been given to me, and it was probably a good thing she was, because if I was out shopping for a horse, I never would have bought that one. She was wrong breed, wrong color, wrong size, terrible conformation. There was everything wrong with her that you could imagine. And she turned out to be an amazing little horse. And, well, fortunately, I was kind of stuck with her, so I couldn't get too judgmental about her, because I had her, and the longer I had her, the better I liked her, and the more that I appreciated who she was and what she was and all her characteristics and everything. So, that was something that, and it goes back to, and I made mention of this once before, the title of a guy's book. Mark Rashid wrote a book, and wrote quite a few books actually, and the title was A Good Horse is Never a Bad Color. And I think we can take that a whole lot further, not just color, but don't get judgmental about conformation, breeding, or any other thing that you think are important, because it may turn out that it's not that important after all, because you may end up with the most amazing horse you have ever seen in your life. So those are things on that I wanted to talk about. And another little thing is, and it's kind of a related topic, is keeping a horse around that you don't ride. And some people do that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Spending thousands of dollars on a horse that has no future is one thing, but keeping a companion horse that's not necessarily rideable isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now, I'll share a true story at a boarding facility I used to be at. There was a lady there, had a couple horses, and for one reason or another, I think she was a little overcautious sometimes, but for one reason or another, there was always something wrong with one of the horses that wasn't rideable. And so she never rode them, even though she had a saddle and everything else there. I mean, she could have ridden any time she wanted to, but she didn't because she was concerned for the horse, and she wasn't going to ride it if there was potentially something wrong with it. And she used to get a lot of flack about that, too. A lot of people, and I've heard this said before many times, even to myself, what's the point in having a horse if you can't ride it? You may as well have it put down. Well, some people just enjoy being with them. And I happen to be one of those people, so I totally understood this lady, and she, kind of made comment, not realizing what my stance was on the whole situation, and she instantly got defensive before I even said anything, and said, don't judge me because I don't ride. I like my horses, and hey, you know what? She was out there like almost every single day, brushing the horses and cleaning their feet and spending time with. That was her happy place. She enjoyed that, and I have no problem with that. I had a horse of my own that was not rideable. That I loved that horse. She was a great horse, great company, very social, and I loved being with her. And to this day, I still miss her. But was she rideable? No, I couldn't ride her. And a lot of people don't get that stuff. And so, if you got a horse that is not rideable, I'm not going to judge you on that one. And I don't think anybody should. Nobody has the right to do that because that's your happy place. I mean, those same people that are telling you to have your horse put down probably got thousands of dollars worth of golf clubs or a personal watercraft or who knows what they've spent their money on. But your happy place is your horse. And that's okay. And it doesn't matter if you don't ride. But that's where you can take the stuff I'm showing you here and put it to use, because even if you don't ride the horse, good ground manners are important. All the things that I'm teaching this horse, you can teach your horse even if you don't ride it. And that's something I think that, where there's a really strong connection in what I'm doing here and a horse that isn't even being ridden. It's still important. Good training is still important because it makes that horse much safer to be around, safer to handle, easier for your farrier to trim, all this stuff, lots and lots of stuff. So, but I'm going to show you now. I'm going to move on now more to the demo. And I haven't really got a plan today, not a big one, other than this one item I really want to show you. Because every horse is different. I mentioned that before. They're all different. And this one, some things she excels at, some things not so good at. But one of the things that right from the beginning she was actually quite good about was leading, all the different things. Start, stop, back up, turn, everything excellent. Until just the other day. All of a sudden, she starts getting really heavy on the lead when I'm leading her. And I don't like that. I like to be able to lead a horse in, basically, you can just take the rope, lay it over one finger, and walk away, and the horse follows the rope. You don't have to tug on it. Unfortunately, she was getting kind of heavy, and I didn't like that. I wasn't very happy about it, and I noticed even today when I let her in here, she was a little heavy on the lead. Not as bad as she was yesterday, though, but I'm going to show you what we did about that. And this is something you can do, and you'll notice I got my lunge whip in my hand. Now, if you have a full-length one, that might even actually be a little better for doing this. But the string itself is still the same length, so I got the same distance, the same reach. I just haven't got as much control because I haven't got as much shaft length on it. But that's okay. This is what we got. This is what we use. And you can do the exact same thing. You can use your stick and string. You can use whatever's handy. I like the lunge whip because they generally are longer and are more functional for this. And I'm going to show you right away what we're going to do now. When I turn around and I start walking the other way, she's going to turn around right away. At least I hope she will. Yep. Not as good as once we've let her a few times, she gets better. Already heavy on the lead. Already. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start slapping the ground right behind her. Oops, I accidentally hit her. And every time I feel weight on the rope, I'm just going to walk back and forth across here. There we go. Already. Little reminder from yesterday, and she's already better. The lead is just laying across one finger right now. And this is exactly what you can do. Just to make it a little easier if you're do it alongside of a fence or something like that, so you only got to worry about one side. And what I like to do, and now remember, you're not trying to hit the horse with this thing. All you're trying to do is put pressure on it by slapping the ground very close to its back end. And the string on these things is long enough, I can go way past the back of the horse, even though I'm in front of it. And in an extreme case, remember I mentioned I've modified this one a bit. This string is actually lighter than a normal one. I took the core out of it, so it's even lighter yet. It's very light. And when I wasn't getting a good response from her, just slapping the ground, I actually resorted to actually flicking it around her back end, and I didn't snap her with it. I didn't hurt her. This thing's very, very light. You couldn't hurt somebody with it if you hit them, unless you snapped it. And I don't do that. I might give it a flick, but not a snap. I'm not going to try and explain the difference to you. I'm not making it crack. I'm not trying to hurt the horse, but just having that string wrap around her back end at her point in existence, she's still pretty wary about that stuff, so she found it rather annoying. I glanced back when I did that, and I noticed her tail flick. So she definitely found it annoying. And that is exactly what we're trying to do. We're not trying to hurt her. We're not trying to hit her. We just want to annoy her a little bit so that she realizes that when that lead tightens up, well, if it tightens up, she's going to get annoyed. So she's going to avoid that, and she's going to follow the lead. So that when I walk away, well, now see, there we go. Okay, she's following now. She's better, but not as good as I'd like. So we'll probably work on this some more, but if I happen to feel tension on that lead, you can see right now it's drooping, it's loose. And I'm holding this way out in front of me. I don't want this thing anywhere near her. I don't want it bothering her. This is good. She's doing very good now. One quick reminder, and she remembered what I did yesterday. But every time I feel a little tension on that lead, I'm just going to swat the ground behind her. That's it. That's all you do. That's all you got to do. Just swat the ground. In an extreme case, if that doesn't work, and it might take a little practice to get good. Good idea to do it without a horse nearby. Practice a little. I'm going to hit that rock over there or whatever you got laying there, and get practice with swinging the thing so that you can slap the ground in the appropriate place without hitting the horse, because you're not trying to hit the horse. And the only time you will is if that doesn't work and you get fairly close behind the horse and it still isn't responding. That's when you can resort to just letting it touch the horse. Now, in her case, I also use this thing for desensitizing too. You see, I just flipped it over her and I pull it off. It doesn't really bother her, but the way I did it yesterday is I actually wrapped it around her bum, and she didn't care for that much. But that's kind of what I wanted at the time. I wasn't trying to hit her or anything. I just wanted to get her attention and realize, look, if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, there's going to be consequences. It's that's kind of what training is all about. It's not necessarily being a bully or anything like that with the horse. It's just there's consequences to everything. You got two choices all the time. Well, when I say you, I mean the horse. The horse has two choices at all times when you're doing things. It has the good choice and the bad choice. And the good choice means no pressure. The bad choice means something unpleasant is going to take place. Either you put pressure on it, swinging a lead or a flag or a lunge whip or whatever, or it gets peace. It gets left alone and not bothered. And ultimately, horses will always choose. They're not stupid. These animals are really, really smart. And they will, in time, given the choice, and if they learn, if you're clear enough, it's very important that you're clear with your cues and when you do things. And sometimes that's where timing is a bit of an issue too. If you're clear enough and the horse understands this whole situation, and it might take a little while, but eventually it will figure it out that, you know what, if I do this thing, this happens. If I do this thing, that happens. And this and that are either the good or the bad, and it has the choice of the two things it can do, and the two consequences, one being a fairly positive thing and one being a not so positive thing. It's not drastic. You're not beating on the horse or nothing, but you know, I got flack one time. I made the comment, you know, you give see a good deal and a bad deal, or the good and the bad, and the horse will choose the good. Somebody says, "Oh, that's not what Tom Dorrance said." No, that's not exactly what he said. I can't remember exactly what his words were, but it doesn't really matter. The concept is the same. One is better than the other, and the horse will choose the better of the two, or at least what it perceives as being the better of the two. And that's what you're trying to do. So you always set things up so that the horse has two options. You don't have to be a bully about it. And you can let it do the wrong thing. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I encourage that. Let the horse make a mistake. And if it decides it wants to move over there when you want it over here or whatever, that's okay. Let it go over there. But when it goes over there, follow behind it with your rope or your lunge whip or your flag and put pressure on it. But when it comes back over to where it's supposed to be, you leave it alone. Let it rest. Let it have peace. Because that's all the horse wants. Just leave it alone. That's all it wants. It just wants to be left alone, not bugged, not enduring weird stuff. But, you know, that's basically how training works. Now, see, you saw how she flinched a little when I threw the rope over her. Well, that's because she's not perfect yet. We still got lots of stuff to do with her. You know, we're not done by a long shot. And, you know, you're going to have to be doing this stuff and for a long time, too. And but you'll get there, all in time. And I just showed you in my last video, we picked up her feet for the very first time. I haven't done it since. Once the camera's off, I may mess with that some more again today and see how she does. And do a few other things. Who knows? We'll see what happens. There's all kinds of things that can be done. Oh, I think I'll show you another one, too. This is something that I've seen somebody else doing. And he's quite emphatic about this stuff, and he's a pretty good horseman, so I think he probably knows what he's talking about. And I tried it a couple of times, and it seems to actually help. But there's a couple of theories on this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the horse's head. Now, there's a couple of ways of going about this, too, and some people really don't like it because it gives you a false sense of relaxation in the horse, because I have found that as they get a little calmer and more relaxed, the head comes down on its own. You don't have to do anything. It just automatically starts coming down. But the head down and relaxed are kind of synonymous. They go together. And this guy's theory is the horse can't have its head down and not be relaxed. So he figures, get the horse to lower its head. It helps the horse realize that in a relaxed mode near you is a good thing. And so that's what we're going to do with this one. And I'll show you how we do it. And this is how the other guy does it. Is he'll use his hand on the neck as a cue. Yeah, that's actually a part of his cue. And then he'll give a light squeeze, just a light squeeze, not much, just a tiny bit of pressure there. And then you just a tiny bit of downward force. And then as soon as the horse drops its head, you let go of the lead and your hand comes off the withers. Then you repeat the process. And so when the horse drops its head, you let go, and it learns to drop its head. And eventually, it gets to the point where the head comes down. I'll do it again. Come down. You know, some horses will actually very quickly put the head down and leave it there. She's not quite there yet, but that's okay. We can work on this some more. There you go. And you see when she lifts her head back. I don't care if she lifts it back up right away, as long as it comes down when I ask her to bring it down. And one of the benefits of this kind of calmness thing that he teaches, and here's his philosophy behind that. And I'm sharing the opinion of somebody else here, because this is not my opinion, because I haven't been doing this for long. I haven't tried it in the situation that he refers to, but if you do this enough, what happens is eventually when you touch the horse on the neck, the head goes down. It relaxes instantly. And you can do that from the saddle. You can be riding the horse, and if it starts getting a little tense and worried about things, you can just give it a gentle squeeze on the neck, and it connects that to the head down and relaxation. and that's what you get. So I'm going to throw that at you. You can do what you want with that one. I don't really have an opinion on that one yet, but it seems to be effective. It seems to work, and thought I'd show it to you. I've tried it a few times, just not from the saddle, but just on the ground. So I don't have a great deal of experience with this yet. But and if the horse doesn't instantly drop its head, you can start rocking it back and forth, and then it'll go down like that. There we go. Very good. She's getting better already. Less pressure. See? There, and the head stayed down that time. There. Very good. Good girl. So that's just one more thing that you can try out. Again, that's not my thing. I saw somebody else doing that, and he does it all the time with every horse he works with, and he works with quite a few problem horses. So I figure he's probably got something going on there he knows about, and maybe it works. I don't know. Like I said, there's different opinions on lowering the head. Some people don't like seeing it done because it gives you a false sense of relaxation in the horse. Other people say it helps create relaxation in the horse. So you can decide for yourself on that one. I don't really have an opinion yet on that one. I do know that the head down and the relaxation, those two go together. Are they exclusive? I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I do know that the more relaxed a horse is, the lower its head goes. And so does lowering the head help the horse relax? Or is it synonymous with relaxation? I don't know, but you can try it. And you just saw what I did. How I did it is a little pressure on the neck, a little pressure on the lead. If the horse doesn't respond instantly, you can rock its head side to side until it will eventually drop its head. If it goes even a tiny bit down the first time, now she's not doing it this time, so that's okay. I'm rocking her head. And you probably can't see too good because she's facing the other way, but her head just went down, so I let go of both. The head came right back up right away, but that's okay. I'm just gonna turn her around so that you can see better what I'm doing here. And there we go. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Yeah, so I'm going to take one hand, put it on the back of the neck, fairly low, close to the withers, and just a gentle squeeze. Put a little force down. Oh, lovely. See how fast she responded there? I didn't get to show you the other part, because if she doesn't respond very quickly, you start rocking the head. Now she just went down. I quit. I let go with both the lead and the hand on the neck. Now I'm gonna. Oh goodness. Let's see if we can do it. No, you say don't do this. Don't get down on your knees around a horse. It's too dangerous. I don't care if you're standing up or kneeling down or laying on your back. You can't get out of the way fast enough if the horse gets upset. So it really doesn't matter what you're doing. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah, that wasn't so bad now, was it? Let's try that again. Again? Yeah. Good girl. She's a little stuck now, so we're going to actually start wiggling her head back and forth to see if we can get her down some more. I'm still pulling on the lead, but as you can see, a thumb and a forefinger, that's all I'm using. Not pulling hard. My hand is firm, but not hard on the neck. And if that head drops even a little bit, we're going to quit. I don't care how much it goes, as long as it's going in the right direction. That's all that matters. And it doesn't matter if it goes back up right after. She'll figure it out. Oh, she's being a little stubborn this time. Oh, she's actually trying to pull her head back up. That's okay. I don't care if she does that. She'll get this figured out. There. Yeah, you probably didn't even see that. That was very subtle. She only went down a tiny little bit, but good girl. Oh, there we go. Sometimes it goes down really easy. Other times you have to actually... Oh, look at that. There. There we go. Good girl. So there you go. something else you can try. Well, anyhow, probably going to call that a day for this video. I showed you one more thing, well actually two more things, and from here on in I'm probably going to do a bunch of more things that, like I said, repetitions of things that you've already seen. So I think as we go along, these videos are actually going to get shorter because there's not going to be as much to show you unless we run into more problems again, like as we did with this one with the leading, and we had to address that. But that is also something that we do every day. Well, not every day, but most days is, we'll lead her around in here, ask her to move this way, that way, all sorts of stuff. And now we can work on picking up feet too, because as you saw in the last video, we successfully picked up both front feet. And I think today'd be a good day to continue that. And well, maybe not in this one, but maybe the next one. I don't know when, but eventually we're going to show you picking up the back feet as well. Because once we get good with the front ones, we'll move on to the back ones. And I figured that that's the smart thing to do. Most people would try to do all four at once, because if you do it in the front, you got to be able to do the back too. So they're kind of got to be done as well. But I just was thinking it through and thinking, you know what, she's a little nervous about stuff. So I'm going to do the ones that we can do, because they're also the safest for me. So, and when she gets really good with them on both sides, because that's important too, is doing both sides, I think then when we move back to the back ones, it's probably going to make things a whole lot easier for us. So that's the route we're going to take. I think I explained that in the last video. So there you go, a couple little stories and a couple of short little demos for you that give you some ideas on how to address problems. And always address them. Deal with them when they occur. For example, if she was to move forward, I'd start bumping the halter and ask her to back up. Simple as that. If she moves, she doesn't do that, so I don't have to. Occasionally she'll take a step back and then I'll just ask her to move forward. I've done that a couple times, but I have never had a problem with her crowding me with this one. And that's kind of a good thing. That's a chronic problem with a lot of horses, is what some people call unrequested forward motion. Well, I don't want her moving forward into my space, crowding me. So if she does, I will immediately do something about it. And you got to do that too, whether it's with your personal space or anything else that you're doing with the horse, is you have to immediately address. So if you're busy talking to your friend or on the phone or whatever, keep an eye on the horse out of the corner of your eye. Always be paying attention to what's going on. And if it does something it shouldn't be doing, correct it right then and there. Never mind who you're talking to. The horse is your priority when you're working with it. If you want to talk to your friend, do it when you don't have a horse in hand. Okay, that's my advice, is pay attention to what you're doing when you're working with a horse, because as I said in the last one, they are potentially lethal. If you aren't careful and paying attention at all times, you can and will get hurt. And I know from experience that some rather bizarre, weird situations have occurred that I couldn't even put in a book and probably would never ever happen to you. But maybe you've had a lot of weird stuff happen that I haven't. That's a fact. Is I can guarantee that your experiences are not the same as mine. You probably know something I don't know, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that in one of my videos once before, is being that everybody has unique experiences and with unique horses and unique situations, that there's a very, very good chance, no, not very good, guaranteed, you know something I don't know. You're watching my videos thinking, hey, I'm the horse guru or something, and I'm teaching you about horses. Well, I can guarantee that you know something I don't know, because you've had a unique experience that I have not had. Even though I have had quite a few experiences, you only need to have one that I haven't had, and you're one up on me. See how that works? So don't ever underestimate your skills, your experience, your knowledge, because like I said, there's a very good chance you know something I don't know. In the meantime, go play with your horse, learn a little bit more that I don't know, and have a good day. Bye now.